The third thing you want, it's getting late, it's hot, I'm sweating, not as much as Mr. Driscoll, but that's a whole other story. Hey, it's number one best-selling author and motivational speaker, Erik Qualman. Most of you know me as Equalman. Thank you for joining us for today's 7 Super Tips show. I can't wait for today's 7 Super Tips because they're coming from the executive chairman of Starbucks, Howard Schultz. Howard Schultz played baseball at Northern Michigan University, and here are his 7 Super Tips.
However, from my earliest of memories, my mother instilled in me her belief in the American dream and the promise of America, that a good education and hard work will open the doors to a better life. And that provides me with an important lesson to share with you all today, that your station in life does not define you and the promise of America that is for all of us. When I was 7 years old, I had a defining moment in my life. I came home from school one day and saw my father laid on a couch with a cast from his hip to his ankle. He had a series of terrible blue-collar jobs as a high school dropout, Army vet, but this particular job he had in 1960 was probably the worst. He was a truck driver delivering and picking up cloth diapers before the invention of Pampers. He fell on a sheet of ice in March of 1960. And in March of 1960, if you were a blue-collar, uneducated worker, you were dismissed if you had an accident. No workman's compensation, no severance, and no health insurance. And I saw the fracturing of the American dream, and I saw my parents go through hopelessness and despair at the age of 7. And those scars, that shame, that is with me even today. As a young boy, I could have never imagined that I would one day build a company of my own, let alone a company that would have more than 26,000 stores in 75 countries and employ more than 300,000 people.
You're going to do anything because you're desperate. My wife, who's here today, she was pregnant with our first child, and I didn't have a salary for the first year of our company. I mean, I would have done anything to make sure Starbucks survives. Now, can I expect that now that we have this size and scale of company, that someone who gets hired into Starbucks today is going to be as hungry as I was many, many years ago? And the short answer is probably not. However, I think we're talking about leadership now, and we're talking about instilling a mentality into the culture of the organization in which people need to understand that we cannot take a breath, that we have competitors who want to take the food off of our table. We have an economy in which there's 8% unemployment here, 9% unemployment in the US, and Starbucks Coffee Company is not something you have to have. It is a discretionary purchase. And so the mentality that you need in a business today, Starbucks or otherwise, to build sustainable success and enduring success is you have to eradicate the human behavior of relaxing, the human behavior of feeling like we have won. And what I have said in the last 2 years of Starbucks is there's no celebration, there's no victory lap. We haven't done squat. And I feel as if people need to understand that success is not an entitlement. It has to be earned and earned every day. And I also will say it's up to the leaders of a company to instill that mentality and imprint that behavior. And it's also up to the leaders to make decisive decisions when people are not adhering to that level of comprehensive, passionate commitment. And this is the key of unlocking the success of our business and hopefully the businesses that you either are thinking about, working for, or a part of. And it's this, it's so basic. We all want the same thing. thing. Break away the differences between what I just described, language, politics, the way people dress, their history. It doesn't matter. We all want the same thing. We want to be respected as employees. We want to be appreciated as customers. We want to feel dignified in the workplace and who we are as people. And we want to go into a store and for that brief moment of whether we're buying a cup of coffee or whatever it might be, we want some value for our money. And the human condition of all of that, between business and the consumer and everything else in between, is the human condition of the human spirit. If you can exceed the expectations of your people, if they feel they're working in an enterprise or a company that values them as human beings and not as paychecks, values them as human beings and not a line item on the balance sheet, and they in turn can take that feeling of being respected and appreciated as an employee and share that with someone else, a paying customer, whether it's in Kuwait or Dubai or the opening of Starbucks France where people said it wouldn't be possible, it can work and it is sustainable. Because the human spirit has no language. And at a time in the world when there is such cynicism and a fracturing of trust, if you reach out and appreciate and respect another human being, it comes back to you.
Well, I think the best that we can do as leaders is create a framework or guiding principles and core purpose for what the company, the brand, stands for. But I don't want to do that where there's such a hard set of rules and regulations that people don't feel they can be creative or have autonomy. Mm-hmm. We don't want robots. We want to create the kind of human behavior in which there's flexibility and autonomy to adjust the situation accordingly. We want to hire creative people. We want to hire entrepreneurs who feel that the structure of Starbucks gives them the freedom and the flexibility to adjust the situation based on the needs and requirements of the customers. There are 90,000 different types of beverages that exist at Starbucks. We started with 5. That happened because the customer wanted to customize their beverage, as well as our people customizing beverages for them. That would have never happened if we said, this is the way it is. And we want to create the kind of company where people believe in the mission and values, but they're also a sense of creativity and opportunity to be yourself.
How many people have you met in your life who have said things like, I had that idea, I knew about that, or I was so close but I gave up? I think sometimes the difference between success and failure, winning and losing, is a very fine line between those people who continue to move forward. I think that success in business is a very difficult thing to achieve. And it's more difficult today probably than any other time, despite the vast number of opportunities. And as it relates to finding your calling in terms of what the opportunity or the entrepreneurial adventure is going to be, it has to be linked to something that you are so passionate and crazed about that you're willing to knock down walls and climb mountains and do the things that are going to put yourself in a position of sacrificing so many other things for its success. And you can only do that when there's a compelling underlying feeling that you have that this is something I'm going to fight to the death for. And without that, I think it's going to be a commodity-based experience not only for the customer but for you. And I think you can't really succeed at the levels that you want to unless you find that thing that you're so passionate, excited, and in love with. And I think because you've got to, along the way, you're going to have to convince so many other people to believe in you and the idea and the opportunity, and the struggle and the obstacles that are going to come can only be overcome by this passion that you have, in which you're going to be able to get people to follow you over those hurdles. I know it sounds a little bit sophomoric, but it's so true.
As you leave here today, take a moment to think of those who have come before you, who have helped you along the way, who are at your side today. If they are here, embrace them and thank them for the gift of education and for the support and the love that they have given you. Your generation can bring people together like no other. You can innovate, create, and lead. Your generation will transform our economy and create millions of new jobs. You will develop cleaner energy. You will make it so racism only exists in history books. Yes, you will. You will be the generation that teaches the world that we are at our best when we recognize, respect, and celebrate our diversity. You can and you will make your mark on our country and our shared humanity. Dream big, and then dream bigger. A more innovative dream, a more inclusive dream. All of you will preserve and enhance the promise of America, the promise that propelled me out of public housing, the promise that will propel you forward regardless of the color of your skin, your religion, your gender, your sexual orientation, or your station in life.
That's it for today's 7 Super Tips with Howard Schultz, who we chronicled in our book, Digital Leader, because he went from a traditional leader to becoming a digital leader. And we hope that these 7 super tips today help unlock and unleash your inner superpower. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Make sure you do not miss the next episode, so hit that subscribe button below. And remember, until next time, it's not what we take from the world, it's what we leave behind. So as you approach the career fair, I'm going to give you 4 tips that I use when in school. Yep. The second thing you need to do is, there's some bloopers for you. All right.